The following is a presentation of the Belly Up Sports Media Network.
Now up to bat, winners and losers of this past week in Major League Baseball. Brandon, go ahead with your first winner.
LJ, I'm going to actually go with a player, I think, as my first winner. Can we talk about Matt Chapman, LJ?
Okay.
Matt Chapman right now. You know, there's been a lot of discourse surrounding Matt Chapman, really because he was supposed to be this elite player. At least that's what we thought after 2018 and 2019 in Oakland. Slowed down considerably. And, you know, according to Fangraphs, the WAR numbers have been really high. That's thanks to his really good defense. But we never saw the full offense, the whole offensive profile, I guess if that's what you want to call it. We never saw that really convey. He was always a super high strikeout guy. Who does walk a fair bit amount, but the strikeouts would just weigh him down so much. And to start this season, he has been just crushing the ball. I mean, you're talking 475 batting average through 10 games. That's 44 plate appearances, 14 RBIs already. Already accumulated 1 WAR, a 271 weighted runs created plus. And part of me is really rooting for this guy because I just feel like with how deep the third base class is in the MLB right now, with the likes of Machado and Devers and Jose Ramirez and, I'm probably
Excuse me.
Austin Riley.
Oh, my Lord.
I mentioned Devers.
No, you didn't mention the best
Arenado.
in the league. Thank you.
Yeah, Arenado.
The very fact that Nolan Arenado can be a forgotten piece of any lineup shows how good this group is.
Yes, and look, Matt Chapman seems like he was getting overlooked in those conversations, which rightfully so. He had not been playing nearly as well as those players had, but I would really like to see him make a comeback offensively because we know what he's going to bring you on the defensive side of the ball, but offensively, I would really like to see him. Obviously these numbers are not sustainable right now. It's such a small sample size, but cut down on the strikeouts, get your batting average up a little, try to work more walks because the value that Toronto could have in Matt Chapman to add to all the other great pieces they have when it comes to their hitters could be tremendous. And just a guy that has been tearing it up. I feel like every time I go on Instagram, I'm seeing an MLB post about Matt Chapman and just him crushing the ball this year.
Certainly. I think my winner this week is going to be the easy one, the one I assumed Brandon would take, and so I was kind of struggling to figure out who I was going next. It's time to start having the conversation. If we're talking about Matt Chapman being back, we need to talk about whether or not this Tampa Bay Rays team is the best team of all time, or could be the best team of all time. 9-0, the best run differential through 9 games of any actively running organization. Who was it? It was like a Carolina team or something crazy from like the 1880s that had the only better run differential through the first 9 games than Tampa Bay has. And overall, I'm not going to talk about necessarily those statistics because they can be very much skewed by the team I'm intending to take as my loser. I want to just generally talk about the form and talk about the eye test because it's been a lot of dominant performances from a lot of places in this team. You look at this rotation, this rotation's been firing on all cylinders, and frankly, I feel like they still probably have more in the tank. I mean, we're talking about a team that's without Shane Baz, without Tyler Glass now, who both could come in and easily, Josh Fleming, it's now or never with this guy to be able to prove he should be talked about in this rotation even as an opener. because you've got those guys coming back. The rest of them are firing on all cylinders. Based on the way that they've played, I don't see that necessarily slowing down yet. Brandon, correct me if you disagree. And then this offense is just so young that we shouldn't have expected anything from them. Like, we shouldn't expect immediately, because we don't know the names, that they're going to suck or that they didn't do anything on offense, so it's going to be bad. You're hopefully getting a full year healthy of Wander Franco, and the start of this season, him actually being healthy again, has been massive. So that's a massive, winner all around. Just having him in the middle of this lineup makes a world of difference for a young team with a lot of guys that look like they might be primed for breakout seasons.
Yeah, really everyone in their lineup is producing right now. I think it is fair to bring up just the fact that they have played nobody. I mean, they have played the bottom of the barrel. If we were doing power rankings, it's a strong possibility that the 3 teams they've played, those being Detroit, Washington, and Cincinnati, right? Cincinnati, yeah. There's a good chance that those are 3 of my bottom 5 teams. Washington might be dead last between them and Oakland for me right now. But look, I mean, they don't make the schedule. They just play who's there. We'll definitely like them to see them get a little, I guess, pressured is the thing. And you look forward at their schedule, and it really doesn't get harder. I'm sorry. They're playing Boston today, who has shown zero semblance of a pitching staff. So that's could be big trouble. And then you're at Toronto, who has also shown very little semblance of a pitching staff, but they can hit at least. And then you get to play Cincinnati. And I'm sorry, it was the A's, not the Reds they played. They play at Cincinnati after Boston and Toronto. So next week or so, week and a half, I mean, Toronto's the best team that they'll play. So that'll be a little challenge. And it's in Toronto. So, I mean, look, I'm not trying to discredit them at all. I mean, the pitching has been unreal. Drew Rasmussen again looked excellent. You now have 2 starters, LJ, and that being Jeffrey Springs and Drew Rasmussen, who have both pitched 13 scoreless innings and both only allowed 3 hits.
All right, Brandon, really quick, give out your loser.
It's the St. Louis Cardinals.
Okay.
Really bad start. They lost that game on opening day to Toronto, where it just really seemed like they should have won it. They had Ryan Helsley in the game to complete the save. They end up winning the games 2 and 3 of that series versus Toronto, but then they go and get swept by the Braves at home. And then you go and you lose 2 out of 3 to Milwaukee, where your offense is only able to manage 7 runs across 3 games. I mean, that's not going to cut it. Now you've got a stretch at Colorado, home against Pittsburgh, and then home against the Diamondbacks, who have started off pretty well. Really going to be keeping my eyes on St. Louis to see if they can try and turn it around. But I'm getting very high. This was kind of like the Braves at the start of last year, where it was first month of the season, first 20 days, things were not looking up for them. And with the amount of talent on this Cardinals roster, I really do expect them to pick it up this next coming week.
All right, this is the point where we're going to disagree, Brandon, talking about your bottom teams. I don't know how you can look at this last week and a half of baseball and say the Detroit Tigers aren't the worst team in the league.
Yeah, they're pretty.
It's more than pretty bad. This is really freaking bad. We're talking about a team, honestly, 4-0, 12-2, 5-1 against Tampa that opening weekend. And they have not, I don't think they've once looked good. The Red Sox made quick work of them. That pitching staff made quick work of this offense. And I'm struggling to find a redeeming part of this team. Bottom 4 in runs, bottom 2 in ERA for starters, bottom 3 in reliever ERA. This has been a tough stretch, and it doesn't look like they're going to pass the eye test either, because as we've said before, these numbers, especially so early, can be deceiving. It's about how well you play. They aren't playing well. They aren't playing good baseball in any way, shape, or form. I don't see this getting better. And if anything, those 2 losses are just damning on the Houston Astros that they can drop a series in Houston to Detroit. It's not going to get better for this Tiger squad.